sure.
Yeah, hey, it's good, right? Because they say, what was it? Idle hands is devil's work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was gonna say, I'm just gonna start recording now, just to have everything set up.
Oh,
Uh,
it's all good.
boom. Yeah, but it's especially I can imagine like as actually a question for yourself. Like, do you homeschool your children, or do they go to public schools, private schools?
They're actually in the public school right now. So my daughter's in third grade and my son's in sixth grade. So
Oh,
we had that transition for my son to go to middle school this year, and I remember middle school years being pretty tough for me at least, but thankful that he's been able to transition pretty well actually. So it was surprising to me because I thought it'd be a little more of a rough transition for him, but he's kind of fit in and found his group of friends and found some clubs and hobbies he likes doing at school. So it's been good.
hey, that's all you can ask for, especially for the
Yeah.
kids, right? Why was it you thought was going to be a challenging like transition for him? Was it just like the new environment that's going to come, or what was it that was coming to your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a new environment and maybe just kind of what I went through
Yeah.
and going from like a smaller school to a bigger school. But how they do it at his school is they kind of separate each grade. So there's sixth grade hall, seventh grade, eighth grade, and the school is a super new school. It's Princess Anne Middle.
Okay.
So it's one of the newer schools in the area, and it's a really nice school in there. Everything's kind of new and he's enjoying it. He's like taking on band, like he's playing the saxophone and really enjoying that. So
Oh
yeah, he's
damn.
he's been having a blast.
Uh,
So yeah, it's good for him.
got
I'm really proud of him.
that's amazing. The music. Wait, does he have the music talent from you, your wife, or is it something he picked up?
Well, I so when I was younger, I played piano, but my mom soon found out that that was a waste of her money because I would cry every time I'd have to practice. And then I did play band in the band in middle school. I played the trumpet, but I think it's more so from my wife because she excelled at piano and she's a really good singer. So I think he's got the music side more so from her than me for sure.
When it came to music on like your experiences, is something that just didn't attract you, or like were you just more into like were you more of a sports kid growing up in high schools, like middle school, or like was it more of a
Um,
side hobby to you when it came to music?
yeah, when it came to music, I felt like it was more of like because I was Asian, my my parents they were big into like either having your kid play some sort of musical instrument or either violin or piano or something like that growing up. At least for me, in my circle of friends, that's what we had to do kind of. So I felt it was more of like a as a chore
Mm.
rather than something I really enjoyed doing. Although I look back at it now, and even though I played for a couple years, I feel like piano is kind of like the building block to a lot of other instruments. So if you're out there listening, you got a kid that's complaining about piano, I would suggest like keep him on it because I feel like piano certainly can open you to a lot of other musical instruments because you learn a lot through the piano. But for me, I, I saw it as a chore at the time, but now looking back, I do wish I stuck with it because I wish I can just sit down and play the piano and just jam right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say like with you growing, are you first generation American or did you immigrate to the country? Like, how was your
I was
experience?
born here, so I was first generation. My parents immigrated here from China, Hong Kong and Guangzhou or Guangdong, China. My dad's from Guangdong and my mom's from I'm gonna mess this up. Toisan. So it's like two provinces in China, and then my mom moved to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong to Canada, and then from Canada to Virginia for some reason. And
So
then,
of all places
yeah,
in the U.S.,
yeah,
you're gonna choose Virginia
Virginia.
Beach? Like,
Yeah, I think the story is like my great grandfather um, was one of the railroad workers.
oh wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. Like one of those that you kind of read about in the history books. But he was one of those guys that helped build the railroad. So what happened was he somehow found his way from all the way from California all the way to Oh, you still there?
Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, am
I'm
I?
sorry. I'm sorry. My screen just went black.
Oh no, you're
But
good. You're good. I thought
um
I was like, oh no, am I losing you? My service? No, not right now.
no, no,
Oh,
no, no,
oh, geez,
no. I'm
my,
still here.
my
So somehow my great grandfather made it over here to Virginia, and worked for someone in the a political like he's either a governor or held some sort of political position in Virginia, and somehow he worked for them, and then he got my great grandmother over here, and then kind of got some other family members over. So that's how my mom's side kind of got here, and then my dad he was a going to college in China, and then he came over here for grad school at the University of Kansas.
you.
So so
Did he just look
Kansas,
at it and just throw a
yeah.
dart? He's like, we're going
Uh,
here. Boom.
you know what the story is, and this is crazy. He apparently just filled out. I don't know what I don't know if he's making this up to make himself sound a little cooler, but he only knew a couple states in the United States, so it would just write University of Kansas, University of Virginia. I want to go to school here, graduate school for because he's an art professor. So he just sent a bunch out, and Kansas was the only one that got back to him, and then somehow he
Wait, so an art major? That's interesting. Wait, so what kind of like was it like the philosophical like part of art? Was it the history? Like what was it that?
he was a straight up interior. So he taught interior design up at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I think he got his master's in fine arts. So he he's like an awesome artist. Like all the paintings in our house are done by him. He does all different styles of art. Of course, I didn't get any of that. I can't even draw a circle or a straight line. Uh, so, but yeah, my dad is super talented. Yeah, he's drawn so many, like all the paintings in my house. My brother's got a couple paintings in his house, and then my house in Richmond is just full of his art. So it's definitely it's crazy because he, he was kind of like not your typical Asian father. He was kind of like off the wall, kind of the nutty professor in
Yeah,
a way. So
yeah, like uh, Doc. I was gonna say Doc Ock from Spider Man. I meant Doc Brown.
yeah,
From
yeah, yeah.
Back to the Future.
Yep, yep. He was kind of a little nutty, a little off the wall, but I think that's kind of like why I kind of grew up the way I did too. Like he wasn't the kind of the strictest in a way with school and stuff like that. He kind of let us find our own ways.
I was
Whereas
just
my
about that.
mom,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
no, no, no. Whereas my mom was a little more of the stricter one when it came to academics and stuff. I think my dad was a little more chill with that.
Yeah, no, I was just about to ask like how that like especially being a first generation American like
Hmm.
you kind of answer it for me, but if you want to go into deeper detail, like was it were they very cultured like keeping the heritage of the culture like into America, or they try to make you as a custom like Americanized as possible like growing up? But you if you want to dive in deeper on that.
Yeah, I think being first generation was a little tough for I think more so for my brother. He kind of went through it more than I did. Cuz I guess he only heard like Chinese growing up. So when he went to middle school, not middle school, elementary school, they thought he had a speech impediment, but he just didn't know English.
Yeah,
So like
they're like,
the
no, this is my you mean my
yeah,
language
this
like
is my language. Like I don't have a speech impediment. So they put him like it's funny because they didn't realize that. So they put him in like a speech class because they didn't think he could talk, but he just didn't know how to speak English. So my brother kind of went through it a little more so than me. He kind of took all the hits as far as like I could learn from him because he was kind of teaching me English at home as he was growing up and learning stuff. So I kind of followed in his footsteps. And academically, like I feel like he took the brunt of a lot of the stuff too, because he was kind of the older brother, and like my parents expected a certain level of excellence from him,
yeah, yeah,
and
I feel
then
you,
he
man. I'm the
kind of yeah,
youngest one of two
yeah,
older siblings. I know you can just get away with so much more. You're just
yeah,
like, I'm
yeah.
chilling. What do you mean? Like, what's up?
Yeah, so I kind of got away with
Yeah,
they're like, okay, we're tired of having to kind of like argue or fight over certain things, and he kind of paved the way, pa- paved the way for me to kind of not slack off in a way, but them not setting expectations as high
yeah,
for me. But yeah, so like cultural wise, I think I mean, we grew up as like a restaurant family, so my grandparents owned a restaurant, Chinese restaurant, and so I kind of grew up in the Chinese restaurant world where a lot of I guess a lot of immigrant Asians did. They either did the laundromat thing or they're in a restaurant. So so just growing up in a restaurant, seeing how hard my parents work, my grandparents work, to just like raise us, it's just amazing because my dad would work, at VCU like Monday through Fridays, and then he'd work the weekends at our family restaurant, and then we'd get brought in with him on the weekends, and we'd work there in the summer when we got older. So,
Oh,
just yeah,
I just had a
just
quick
seeing how
question.
hard they work. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, yo, I'll make a cut you. That's the thing about I'm like
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
internet, but like going, did you know, I mean, like you said, you're able, as you get older, you get to reflect on how much sacrifice that your forefathers, your parents did for you. Like,
Yeah.
did you ever actually go back to Hong Kong? Like, have you ever traveled back there just to see like where like your family was raised, like your like stuff like that, and like give you another sense of perspective, or have you haven't gone out there yet?
I went when I was like super young, so I don't even remember a lot of it. So I didn't really see how they grew up or where their actual. Well, I went to their village, but I don't remember, to be honest. The only thing I remember was like being like super tired and hot and just like not having anything to do. So I was like jumping from one bed to another, and that's all I can remember. I want to say I was like maybe shoot 4 or 5 years old. So that was a super long time ago. I mean, I really do want to go back. It's just finding time and the money and just it's tough. But I want to go back with my parents as they're getting kind of older in age. It's harder for them to travel as well. So but yeah, that's on my bucket list to do an Asia trip and just knock that out for sure.
Yeah, it's I can imagine. Would you want to bring your kids as well? I can imagine just so they can see like, oh yeah, this is where we started. Started from the
Yeah.
bottom. Now we here. Now we all the way in the whole different side of the country. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, well, I think a lot has changed. I think in China it's just a lot less because I think they kind of grew up in a rural area where it was like farms and stuff like that. And even my grandmother and grandfather, they were in like an arranged marriage. That's how it worked back then. Yeah, like
Oh wow.
my grandfather would be sitting there and then they bring in a bunch of I guess girls that were available to be married. So he got his choice of like whoever. Yeah, that's how it
What?
worked back when my grandparents got married, and they're getting married at super young age, and I guess he just got to pick my grandma. And here I am through arranged marriage situation like that. So
Wow,
it's kind
that's
of crazy.
yeah, that's pretty mind blowing, right? Just to see like how God or whoever you may believe like this to
Yeah,
align things up to make to have you like in this very moment, like it's pretty amazing. Like if he just
yeah.
chose the girl on the left of your mom,
I might not be here.
yeah,
Or my grandma chose the left of yeah, it was my grandpa and grandma, not my mom and dad.
yeah,
That's a whole other story, my mom and dad. But yeah, my mom wouldn't be there if my grandpa didn't pick that particular lady there. So yeah, it is crazy if you think about it. Like, I wish he was still around so I'd be like, so what made you pick grandma? Was it like, was she the prettiest one? Or like,
yeah, yeah, just like
yeah,
telling you straight up, grandson, she was the finest one. I'm
I
just
know
going straight
she
for.
was the finest one. She
Yeah,
had all her teeth. I don't know.
yeah. It's like there we go. You got your full set of teeth. I like that. We get to go. Let's start our life
Yeah,
together. Let's get out of here.
yeah, yeah.
But that's pretty. It's funny you say that because actually, a quick story about me. Like me and my sister were looking through old photos at my Vavu's house, and we
Mm.
found a photo of my mother in another wedding, and we didn't know she was in an arranged marriage beforehand. And it's
Oh
like,
wow.
and we're just like, and my sister, if you met her, she's as white as paper, and you wouldn't expect like same mother, same father,
Wow.
and she's like, wait. Am I adopted? Like, even though it's still the same mom, like it's just like we were just young and dumb, and
Yeah.
we confront my mom. It's like, oh, what is she like? Is my sister my sister? Like, even though she's still my sister, obviously, but and then she's just
Yeah.
laughing her ass off. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it was an arranged marriage, and then she ran away, and then that's actually how she actually met my father, and
What's your nationality?
Portuguese and Cape Verdean. My father immigrated from Africa when he was 13, and then my mom was first generation American, born
Oh
here.
wow.
Yeah, her side came from Azores, the islands next to Portugal.
Yeah, man. It's America's melting pot, man.
Yeah, hey,
Tell you what.
the land of the American dream, right? For
Yeah,
people to go out there and at least have an opportunity to better themselves, right? At least
yeah,
I was it like when it actually when actually actually let me go. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch a little questions here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Actually, speaking about like beginnings and stuff like that, I was looking up. I didn't realize Spark was originally another name before. So
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah.
the anti-social social club. And I
Yeah,
thought that was the funniest thing.
antisocial. Yeah, antisocial social run club. Is what Spark was. Prior to it becoming Spark, it was really just birthed out of. I just wanted to create an Instagram page that was a play off of antisocial social club, that clothing brand. To kind of just be funny for one, and then it was catchy, so people would kind of be like, "Hey, what's this antisocial social run club?" It was more so started as an Instagram page to kind of encourage other people that I knew to run, and to just tag the page just to encourage others, and then it just became something more. We just decided to kind of meet up as a group, for because we would just run individually at that point, just like just by ourselves. And then I was just thinking, hey, why don't we just meet up together and run since we're running anyway? And ever since that point, we've continued to just meet as a group, either bi-weekly, or sometimes, like if it's busy, only one time a month, as a big group. But we're trying to do it more. Um, but yeah, after a little bit, that name just didn't fit our group and what we were doing, so we decided to rebrand and make it Spark.
Yeah, I guess it's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
antisocial is what sparked the
yeah.
spark, right?
Yes, what sparked Spark? Because yeah, we definitely weren't an antisocial group, and
I was just
you
about to
know,
say that too. You guys, I
yeah,
remember the first run I went. Well, you guys, I think I already had a couple of group runs already
yeah,
with the
yeah,
Spark, but I joined one of
yeah.
them and open
Yeah,
arms. Oh,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
nice to meet you. Probably because
yeah,
they haven't seen a
yeah,
giant walking bush, walk around with a giant afro. They're like, what the heck's
yeah.
this character over here, sideshow Bob here?
Yeah, no, I think I remember that was at the town center cold press run we did.
Yeah, that was a good.
Is when we first met you, and yeah, that's one thing about our group is we just like to introduce ourselves to people, just because I've been to other groups before where you just kind of feel isolated and not welcome, or I don't know if it's because the way you look, or just you're not part of the clique already, or it's just too big to get to know people. But that's what we kind of like to do, is just to make sure if we see a new face to say hi and welcome you, and just make sure you feel comfortable.
Yeah, and actually talk about running just for yourself personally, like,
Hmm.
and I guess going back to like you getting growing up, like was running like ever like something you loved ever like every you just got into it like as you got older? Was it something you started super young, later?
Yeah, it came later in life for me running. All I remember running was like either doing, like, I think you had to do tests in is it middle school maybe, to see how fast you can run a mile. And I just remember I was never really the fastest or the slowest. I was kind of just in the middle somewhere. I really didn't run seriously until most recently, right before uh making the run club. I did run like prior to that, just trying to like get healthier, lose weight. I think I was doing it to lose weight for my wedding before I got married or something like that. I could find an activity to do to get some cardio, so I decided to run. But I wasn't really serious into it until probably, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago is when I really took on running.
What ignited that drive to that spark? I would say.
That sparked it. I like how we're using that. No, so I want to say I was pretty heavy into road cycling before. The dudes that wear the tight tights,
Yeah, with the
helmet.
aerodynamic
Yeah,
helmets.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was pretty heavy into road cycling. Um, so I would go like every weekend pretty much and ride like 30, 30 or 40 miles,
Oh wow.
with a big group that meets kind of out here. So they're kind of like a bike, a club.
Oh, a
I
bike
guess
gang.
yeah, a bike gang that you see on the streets. But I did it one time at a different. So usually I do it out here near me, where we ride out into Pungo, where there's less vehicles. But there's one times we decided to meet up with a group that rides out near Great Neck in that side of town, and they ride kind of later in the day when traffic starts getting heavier. And then one time, I swear I felt a car kind of like the side mirror kind of buzz my arm, and like I get to the light and this lady's just straight up just texting on her phone, not paying attention. So I think from that point on, I was just kind of like, let me kind of rethink this cycling thing. It kind of like not scared me, but it kind of like I guess it did scare me to the point where I was like, let me hang this up for a little bit. I got two young kids at home
Yeah.
and a
Well,
wife, and I can probably try to find something else to do to take um, cycling's place. And then I just picked up a pair of running shoes and then started instead of cycling, running. I found it a little easier to because cycling, like doing 30, 40 miles takes quite a bit of time, and then you got to make sure you're going at a certain amount of time of day to avoid traffic, and it takes a little more I guess prep, I feel like,
yeah.
instead of just throwing on some shoes and running outside my door. So that's why I really started running again, was because of a close
Yeah.
incident with a vehicle on my cycle.
And that's a and that branches off to like another like conversation is just technology and how much it's just overtaking us, and I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
like for example that AT&T power outage, like
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
just I would go for my phone and knowing like it's not working, I'm like, wow,
yeah,
like how addicted are we to these things,
yeah, yeah,
to the point where like you said, you're literally seeing people drive these death machines where you can,
oh
it
yeah.
makes you question even biking. Actually, one of my friends may rest in peace, he that's what
Hmm.
happened to him. He was
Oh my
riding a bike
goodness.
and someone hit him, but you know what I mean. It's just absurd that people just people just don't be more aware of themselves, especially I feel like in Virginia Beach, but there is so many, everywhere I go I feel like there's bikers,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. I
is that
feel
something you
like
ever get back into though? I know it's because even
it's
runners too, right? It's always a risk, right? No matter
yeah,
what you do.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Cycling was, I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. It's a different feeling being out there, because you can get pretty fast on a bike, and just being able to use your own legs to power yourself, and to go for like 30, 40 miles. And it's a different experience for sure. It's definitely easier on the legs and the body. Although, I mean, you still have to be really pretty fit to do that for an extended time. So it's not like it's a walk in the park, but it's a lot easier on the joints and the body, I feel like, than running is. I think that's why a lot of people do the triathlons, like the run, bike, and swim. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get back into it.
I was
But
about to
right
ask
now,
you too. You look like a
yeah.
you look like you've done a triathlon or two.
Oh no, no. So I always tell people I can probably do the running and biking part, but the swimming part would be the part that would freak me out. Just jumping in the water with like hundreds of people beside you, just knocking you in the face and kicking you, and that's just not my. I'm not ready for that yet, for
Yeah,
sure.
couple elbows in the
Um,
face. You're not ready
yeah,
for
a
that.
couple elbows in the face, not ready for that. So I think I would like panic or something.
Mhm.
If something were to happen out in the open water, because it's a quite long, like a full Ironman. I think you're swimming for quite a long time.
It's yeah. I'm looking into it. My goal is to do a half marathon by next year.
A half
Ironman,
or half
Half
Ironman.
Ironman. Yeah, yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
But the full one is 2.4 miles, and then
Hmm.
it's like 1.3 for the half, and then 50-mile bike for the half, and a half marathon,
Yeah.
and then full.
That's
You know how it is.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's
Hey,
crazy.
but
Much.
I can imagine for running, like for you, like actually a question is like you've run a marathon and half marathons right before,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like actually what was your mindset before running a half marathon to soon after finishing your half marathon? Like did it unlock capabilities of your mind, like wow, I can, did it give you more? Oh, for me personally, like when I did my first half marathon, it just kind of opened my mind of just like, wow, like I can do this. Like just pushing yourself. Is that some questions you were reflecting on yourself, or is it kind of like, yeah, I knew I was going to do it? Like, what were the thoughts, I
Um,
guess, in general you were going through?
I guess my original thoughts were like I was always like anti like race events for some reason. Like because I was like, why if do I want to sign up to run like 13 miles where I can just go outside and just like what am I paying you like this money for? So um I was always anti-race until Joe, Joe, one of the other leaders at Sparc. Um
Shout out to Joe.
yeah, shout out Joe. He was the one that kind of like pushed a lot of us on to sign up for races because he was doing a lot of races with his wife prior um to a lot of other of us. I can't even talk. A lot of us joining these races. So shout out Joe for getting us on the race wagon, but
That's great to have someone like that though, especially in your group to just push people. Because I think it's another great thing just to be like, like, hey, why not go for time or just to do it for, fun,
mhm. Yeah, there's something about like I guess one when you're paying for a race,
Yeah,
you
right.
probably don't you want to like kind of train for it and not just go out there and waste money in a way. So and like being around other people running gives you a different energy too, and just seeing how other people at the event are cheering you on. There's something to be said about that. But yeah, as far as running my first half, uh, it's not like I never thought I wouldn't be able to do it. Um, but I feel like in doing that, like it just showed me that, what I guess a full marathon might feel. So like when I finished my half, like I had no energy. Like my legs started cramping and like at the very end, I remember it's the rock and roll marathon. Half marathon when they still had it here. Like when running on the boardwalk for the home stretch there, like I just started cramping and crossing the half finish line there. I was like, how can someone do this for like another 13 miles? Like, so after that, I really was like, nah, there's no way that I would run a full marathon. Um, and then, of course, a couple years later, Joe's like, "Yeah, let's do, let's run, let's run a marathon, man." He's the
Yeah.
guy that's pushing the buttons all the time. So, we signed up for the Richmond Marathon,
When
and
last year.
Richmond was not last year, but the year before. Um, and that was all of our first marathon. Um, and I feel like so running a half marathon is you're having definitely a different mindset than a full marathon because you're running a full marathon conserving your energy so you can last a full marathon, whereas the half, like you're kind of using a lot more energy to finish the half than a full. It's a different kind of race in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of gunning a half marathon, but I think a lot of people gun marathons too. But for me, it's a different mindset as far as last 26 miles over 13. Um, but just the training, I feel like that we did. I feel like that journey of going through a training block is um, there's a lot to be said there because that will test your mental and your physical as well. But I think just building because I think we did like a 20-week training block for the full marathon. And then I think just going through that mentally, I feel like if you can get through a 20-week training block for a marathon, you're already ready for a marathon, physically and mentally, because you've run several marathons already through the miles you've been doing for your training. So,
Yeah, how
um,
how is those work like? Is there like a speed run? Is that like how's that
hmm
workout plan work? Honestly, because when I ran my first one, not gonna lie, I kind of was just like, all right, I'm running a half marathon like at least this once
yeah,
this week. Next, more from there. But yeah, what was your structural like plan
yeah.
for you
So
guys?
it starts off you kind of build throughout the plan. So it's usually a long run on the weekends, and then during the week you'll have a speed run, or like a tempo run, or some kind of run where you're running fast or slow, fast, slow. But most of the time it's easy runs, because that's how you kind of build your base and your aerobic. You build up your I guess your endurance through slower runs, and then that way you'll have, I guess, more when you're running faster. So a lot of the runs are slow runs, and then you just slowly build. Um, Even your longer runs. I think max you go up to 20 miles for in our plan at least, and then you kind of taper there. So each week your long run gets longer until you hit 20 miles, and then you kind of taper after that, and then rest up your body before the marathon hits.
You just get so excited when you pass that when you get to that 20 mile. You're like, yes, now we can bring it down a bit and start to
Yeah,
relax.
yeah, for sure. Because I think there's just times where, like, just building up in that training, and a lot of it was done alone, just because, like, I think Joe and I and some other people running them full, we just were on different types of training plans, so our runs would be different. So it's not like we could run together. Um, so a lot of that time is just like by yourself, just pounding the pavement, and just it gets tough mentally for sure. It's more mental, I feel like, than physical a lot of the times, because just like, man, I gotta do this again, and usually it's hot, or you're waking up at 4 to run at 4:30 or 5 in the morning to beat the heat. So it's definitely a mental strain there. But I feel like once you get through that, though, you feel like you can take on anything.
Well, that you can't even could have said it any better. It's true, man. It's literally discipline, right? To
Mm-hmm.
push yourself, like, am I going to do it or not, right? And
Yeah,
especially like you said, when you have people, like John, like beside you, like, hey, what'd you do this week, huh? What was
yeah,
your, I mean, but that's remarkable, right? To have at least have people like you that, that see the potential in you and push you to achieve that, right?
yeah, for sure. It's good to have other people there, kind of supporting you, and kind of even holding you up sometimes when you don't think you can do it, or just encourage you when you're on that journey. So that's definitely is good to have surround yourself with people with the same mindset to help push you on for sure.
And actually, tapping in deeper on that, I was gonna say, like,
Yeah,
how just a question for you is like, how
yeah.
powerful is community to you by any chance? Like, how big of an impact has just building your own community, like, or like, how has it affected you?
Yeah, it's huge, man. Especially with Spark, and just because when I originally started Antisocial Social Run Club, I never expected us to become, I guess, what we are now, which is Spark, and we're a nonprofit organization, and we have like a board of directors here that we kind of bounce ideas off of, and that I lean on a lot to help us with our org. But just being out there in the community, I feel like whenever we get together for runs, I'm always surprised to see like either new faces or just people show up. I'm just like, are
Yeah,
people gonna show up today? But yeah, just to meet new people, new faces, and have them feel like Spark has become their home. And I often ask them, why, why come here? Why are you coming here? And they're always like, yeah, y'all just like it feels like family, and that's just like super meaningful, because that's kind of like what we want Spark to be, is just like an extended family of yours, I guess a run family in a way where if you have issues, feel free to talk to us, or like we're not just about supporting you with running, but we're here about supporting you with if you're going through something mentally, spiritually, physically, we've had people reach out and just when they're down and just come out and talk to us. And I mean, it's great, man. Like, and that's what community's for, is just to be able to have someone to lean on. Because a lot of times people, I guess, feel like they don't have anyone, or they don't feel like anyone's supporting them, or helping them out. But I think it's just the sometimes there's a pride factor in that, of not allowing yourself to ask for help too. So yeah, we're just there to help and support, and just love on people, whether it's putting a smile on their face, or just being next to them while we're running. Or it's great, man. So community is big. Um, just having either my like the leaders of Spark just being there for me, and just just having just people to chill and hang out with and group runs as well is it's been awesome. So the running community is awesome. There's it's just something to be said about I guess what they do because they're all about supporting people as well. And that's why we kind of wanted to tap into that with Spark and to use the running community to be able to bless others and to pour into others through whether they're donating stuff or their time or money or whatever to our organization. We always throw that back out into the community as well. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
been
Yeah, I was gonna say no. I love what you guys do, man. And speaking of, I was gonna say that whole thing was beautiful, man. Because I think more than ever that needs to get preached more is again like building
yeah,
that community. You know, a lot of people
yeah.
nowadays just they feel like they have to grudge through the the weather alone, and
Mm-hmm.
how much of a difference I can imagine that you've made just from people being like, wow, thanks for having this community open for me to be a part of and join.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
man. Yeah, I think a lot of people just I don't know if COVID did something or what, but I think people just are isolated now, or even with technology, these Apple Vision Pros are even going to make people more isolated and be in their own world. So it's crazy, man. So we're trying to just break that barrier, have people just come out and just share their lives with us for sure.
Yeah, but if y'all come to the run groups with that Apple VR, I don't know. We might have to question you.
Yeah, might have to take that off and throw it away. Although if there's a cool running program on that, that'd be cool too.
Oh,
No, I'm
that.
just kidding.
Oh, yeah. No, hey, now that you spoke into his existence, it's gonna happen
uh,
now.
I know, right? Yeah, it's crazy, man. Just seeing people like I've been seeing what people have been doing with that, and I mean it's cool technology, but like when you're sitting in McDonald's across from your friend who's wearing one too and just eating fries, and I mean just come on, man.
It's like, dude, what are you
Like
doing behind there? Really, you're not
yeah,
doing really.
yeah,
You're not doing business
yeah,
behind there. Do you looking
yeah,
at fucking Instagram thoughties? We all
yeah,
know.
yeah. You're doing something.
Yeah.
You're doing
Well,
something. Yeah.
I was gonna say actually that's a Well, actually, I'm gonna go back. Oh, damn, that's a good other topic to talk. But I want to go back to the Spark and how
Yeah.
you go and help communities because
Mm-hmm.
I saw that you guys give out grants too. Like, do you want to explain? Like, you just started doing that in the past couple of years, like with Spark, or like
Yeah,
how's?
actually that started last year. So after the Above the Clouds 5K, which is coming up in May, um for our second one, but because of people registering and donating to that race, we've been able to start a grant. It's called the Finish the Race grant. In honor of Dr. Albert Lin, who passed away from brain cancer. But if you knew Albert, he was a man of God who, even in his last days here on earth, he was asking how he could help other people. And we just wanted to continue to carry that on his legacy by creating this grant. And pretty much there's an application. I think on our IG, there's a link to it. You can fill out an application and we kind of read your story and um, we'll usually bless somebody with an amount of money to help them out. We've had several people fill it out. Some people were just looking to keep their lights on. They had to pay their electric bills. They're sick in the hospital. Um, their caretaker reached out to us and they're like, hey, their electricity is about to be turned off. Is there any way you can help out with this? And we were able to not pay their whole bill because it was kind of high, but we were able to send them something to help with that. And there's other people who were there's another lady who was moving and she needed some help with moving expenses. We are like, hey man, Albert,
Mm.
Albert would help you move. So like
Yeah.
we're helping any way we can as well. So like he is still blessing people this day forward, even though he's not here with us on Earth here. But we just wanted to continue his legacy by having this grant and whenever we send something out, we kind of mention who he was and what he did and and it's been great. It's been great to be able to give back to the community that way.
Yeah. And like and that's a greater thing because communities supporting communities and we coming together
Hmm.
and getting bigger. And what the after his passing was that something that's you guys the head of Spark like thought of like, hey, let's host the race in his honor, or was this something you guys were already thinking about before the whole situation
So
with it?
he was part of our run group. We actually ran several races with Albert. One race we ran, it was like a relay race, and he was actually going through his proton therapy at the time. So he was actually running with brain cancer, and we were kind of like,
Wow.
dude, you want to do this? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So that was the kind of guy he was. He actually ran the race after like he had a session the day before of proton therapy. So he was
Sorry to
like
cut you off. What's a
yeah.
proton therapy, if you don't mind me asking?
So he had brain cancer.
Yeah.
So I think, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it's kind of like it's kind of like a radiation type
Oh, okay.
therapy.
Maybe shooting some protons in his noggin.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
Damn.
I'm
Okay.
not too familiar with what they do there, but apparently it kind of weakens you and doesn't make you feel the greatest.
Yeah. Hey, well, kudos to him to still, get the
Yeah,
strength to do that. And the relay, that's actually pretty cool. Honestly, I've never heard of that. Like, was it like a marathon like
yes.
relay, like where it's like
Um,
every certain like how's it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like it was the growler relay. So it was from one brewery to another brewery. So it was about 27 miles, and each one of us had a segment that we ran.
Oh wow.
So it could range from like 4 to 7 miles, I think. So he ran the last leg of that race, and I think he had a 4 mile route, and then we let him run like three of that by himself, and then we all kind of all joined him for the last mile to run into the finish line. So yeah, so that was the kind of guy he was. And then to get back to your question, after he passed away during his memorial service, his wife actually came up to us and he was like, "Hey, um, well, actually, after he passed, we actually had a memorial walk run for him, like the week after he passed. So people would just come out, talk if they wanted to, just remember him and just run and walk in memory of him. And actually, we ran that same route that he did for his final mile for that growler relay and that memorial walk. And then at his memorial service, his wife was like, "Hey, how about we can we do something um annually for him to kind of like remember him and honor him?" And we jumped on that. So last year was our first Above the Clouds 5K, which you're wearing the shirt for it right now.
Yeah, yeah, but I had to represent. Come on, I
Yeah,
can't be
represent,
having the man of
represent.
Spark and not
I
represent.
know,
I was gonna say
I know.
too. I know you're. Well, you could talk more about it.
Yeah,
Right now, but I felt like you guys organized it. Wonderfully. It was a great experience. Again, social individuals, not
yeah,
anything
yeah,
antisocial about it. But
yeah.
the food was good. Shout out to Erin for Project C Coffee too.
Yeah,
Woo,
yeah.
I love that
Arian's the
coffee.
one that hooked us up, actually. I think she invited you out.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, shout
Yeah,
out to her. She's awesome people.
yeah, yeah. She's actually opening a new shop soon, so shout out Irene. You might have to have her on to talk about that
Oh, 100%.
experience.
You already know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, yeah, it was a fun event, man. And it was stressful but fun. Just having to put on our first event like that, and have the city involved and file permits and all that stuff. But yeah, so we threw this 5K, and through that we are able to set up that grant and be able to actually make a donation to the National Brain Tumor Society in honor of Albert and Cheryl, because that's one of the organizations that they supported as well.
That's awesome. And I was gonna say, like, what were the like bigger like hurdles when like setting up the marathon and the the whole shebang? Like, was like getting the location to do it? Was it getting the funding? Like, what was like, or was there obstacles you thought
Um,
were going to be difficult that actually weren't? Like what?
I think the obstacles were we're not race directors, so we didn't know exactly. So we have experience running races, so I think that was good.
Yeah.
But just kind of figuring out, where we're gonna hold it, what we need to do as far as permits. Oh, we need porta potties. Okay, we gotta get some porta potties. Oh, it'd be nice to have some sponsors to help kind of like financially, because this was still in our infancy. I mean, we're still in our infancy as a 501 nonprofits. So we our funding is it's tough to get funding. So just having sponsors come aboard to a lot of them were dental offices because Albert was a dentist. So we had relationships with some practices in the area. So we were able to tap in and say, hey, do you want to support this race? And they're more than willing to donate to help sponsor the race.
Mhm.
Um, so logistics of getting sponsors, finding food vendors like Irene, we know personally, so she was able to support right away, and then just finding a partner with food like Flippin' Hangry came out to feed people, and I feel like it was just once you it was kind of like steps where we couldn't do one thing without having this thing first. So it was like, all right, we need sponsors to pay for this location.
Yeah.
Well, so the locations, we got to get permits. Well, I can't really get like fill out this permit until I figure out what vendors are going to be there. So it was just kind of figuring out those steps, which is good that we went through that because this year it's been a little more smooth, kind of figuring out the process or knowing the process. Although this is like I'm having to deal with the city of Chesapeake now instead of Virginia Beach because this year's race is going to be in Chesapeake. So
Oh, really? Oh, do you know the location specifically,
yeah,
or you just
yeah,
wait for confirmation first?
yeah. So it's going to be May 18th, our next 5K, the Above the Clouds 5K, May 18th at the Dismal Swamp in
Oh,
Chesapeake. Yeah, have you ever been out to Dismal Swamp?
yeah, I love
Okay,
that spot. It's a good. I've never
yeah,
ran because it's such a huge spot. There's so many different entrances. So I've been in one
yeah.
entrance and the other one, but I've never. Yeah, no, I'm excited. That's gonna be a good
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
race.
It's gonna be cool. It's a 5K. The whole Dismal Swamp Trail is about 8 miles, so we're not running out and back 8 miles. But a 5K there. This year it's gonna be a little different because it's gonna be timed. So you get a bib and it's gonna be a timed race. So, I mean, if you're there to be competitive and to rip it, we're feel free to do so. We're going to be giving out some prizes to the top finishers, so that's a little new this year. And then yeah, but if you just want to kind of walk it and just be chill about it, you're welcome to do that too. So we're excited. We've got some great sponsors on board, people that we've talked to on our podcast. We've reached out to them, and they're more than willing to kind of donate stuff to our organization to give out as prizes or giveaways. So we're excited.
And like you said, now that you at least know the fundamentals of how to set it up, you can at least get those at least smoother, and then work out any extras that come along the way.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's never smooth. It's definitely smoother, but yeah, we're still waiting to hear from the city of Chesapeake at this moment on
Okay.
the actual permission to do it, but like we can't, like I think they only give you permission like a month before. Like they give you the permit a month before, but in doing this you got to have people registered prior. So
Yeah.
we're praying that everything goes smoothly. This was kind of like the same as our past event too, where we had to just have people register and then cross our fingers to have approval from the city. But I feel like a lot of races and events happen out there at the Dismal Swamp, so I don't think it's going to be an issue for us to hold it there.
Yeah, not at all. You know what, Edwin? Even if they don't approve it, they can't arrest all of us.
That's true, and we'll run real fast.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Come
the
on.
so the slowest people will be.
Their reward is handcuffs. They get some new
Yeah,
bracelets.
yeah. So no, I feel like if something does happen, we'll be refunding people their registrations, but I feel like
No.
it'll go down.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
Yeah, I actually need to register today. Now that you remind me, so
yeah,
appreciate you. No,
yeah.
and actually, when it comes to, I know, like you said, it's still in your infancy when it comes to like hosting these. Like, is there a goal of hosting like the first half marathon, like full marathon? Is that something like
Oh
you're
man,
looking at? I know it's like kind of a long stretch right now, but is that has
yeah.
it been in the talks and the conversation with you guys, or?
We haven't had that conversation yet, interestingly enough. But it would be great if we could do something like that, I feel. But it would just take a lot of because that's when you need to close off roads.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing it at the Dizzle Swamp, I don't think you need to. Just because that's an enclosed area already. But if we're closing down streets, that's going to take a lot more coordination there. But that would be cool for sure to be able to do something like that.
Hey,
That's a pipe dream, but we'll see.
hey, one day.
Yes.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah, man.
I was gonna say, I had something else in mind too. Hosting. Give me 1 second. I'm looking through my notes.
Yeah, no worries.
Boom. Thinking back at oh, actually, no. You were just mentioning it before. My mind, my ADHD kind of goes everywhere. The podcast.
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah,
interested you
yeah.
guys to even, host your own podcast? Like, did you guys ever do podcasts before, or is it just you just wanted to put shine a light on individuals who are in the sport of endurance running? Or
Yeah, so Joe and one of our other directors, Mark, they used to have a pod called For the Boys, where they're like four of the guys. I think it was Mark, Anselmo, Joe, and Abel. They would just come together and talk on specific subjects. So I think that's where the idea of the pod really came from. Just their experience doing a pod and just having fun with it. We wanted to kind of use our podcast, I guess, to highlight different people in the running world um, that are doing different things out there. Like you're not your typical runner that you expect to be a runner. Although we do have some of those on too, but we just like people's stories. You know how they got into running, and how they're influencing the running space. A lot of the people we bring on are typically BIPOC. A lot of the BIPOC community that do run, because that's not your, I guess, typical face that you put to running. You know what I'm saying? Like typically people think of runners as a white male in their 30s or 40s that
with
are
some leg
skinny,
warmers on?
yeah, and some super short shorts and super fit and skinny. But we find that when you go to races, that's not what you see there.
Mm.
And we feel like representation matters, especially in everything. But in the sport of running, I feel like you need to see that anyone can do it, whether no matter your color, your size, what you know how fast you are. Like you can just be out there and do it. So we bring on people on our podcast to kind of talk about their stories and why they got into running and how they're influencing other people that look like them or may not look like them to run as well, or just to make a lifestyle change. So so that's what that's what we've been doing with that podcast. I mean, we do talk to cool people from like I don't know if you've heard of Believe in the Run, but they do like major like they do shoe reviews, gear reviews. So like we're big sneaker heads and gear heads, so to have them on and talk to them and kind of pick their brains, and because they like have a podcast, they have like that's their job is to do shoe reviews. It's kind of like the dream job of a lot of people out there, but they have it. So we had them on to talk about. We had Thomas and Robbie on from Believe in the Run, and just a lot of other cool people out there in this running space. Even though it's niche, it's interesting. The running space is niche, um, but it's almost like everyone kind of knows each other in this running space too. But to be able to really talk to them, pick their brains, and just kind of figure out what makes them tick, kind of grows us as a group and as leaders as well.
What was fascinating that you learned from picking their brains by any chance, if you don't mind me asking, like that whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, like I think I kind of touched on it. We had this guy. He does. He's his handle is 300 pounds in running. He started a group called Slow AF Run Club.
What?
Yeah. He actually wrote a book as well. And he's like a 300-pound dude just going out there and running marathons.
Really?
And he's just taught people who are of size and influenced them to be like, hey, you can do this, or he just gives them tips as far as, hey, you're gonna chafe there, so you better
Yeah.
yeah, like because
I-
because like he's just like he just, I feel like, went through it so he can give like tips and just that you wouldn't think of as a beginner runner
Mm.
of size. And so he's just killing it. And there's just other people out there just super community focused, trying to change the narrative on just being out there as like being like a black male out there running. You shouldn't be afraid. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a stereotype with that. Like, what? You're a black runner? Like, shouldn't you be doing like basketball or another sport? Like, why
Or
running?
like, oh damn, the cops are chasing you. What's up?
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
up with that? So there's a lot of people out there just breaking
Yeah.
that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So just to see people that aren't afraid to tell their stories and to just stand up is a lot of stuff that we've taken just from hearing their stories, and hopefully we can kind of influence people in our circle as well to do the same.
Yeah. No,
So I appreciate it.
that's so great, and
Yeah.
and I think that's so awesome that you say that too, because that's something I realized when I ran my first full marathon too, the Richmond one this past year, and like you said, there's so many different walks of life that participate in this. And it bugged me out, man, because again, like honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
did have that stereotypical. I'm like, well, it's usually like fit, skinny people, all this stuff, and then I again, short, tall, like, and
Mm-hmm.
300 pounds, like that's
Yeah.
I would love to talk to that gentleman too. That'd be cool to have him on the podcast. Honestly, I'll definitely
Yeah.
have to talk to you after about this to get his connect with
Yeah.
him. But like you said, man, people can do anything if you set your mind to it, right?
Yeah. I think so. If you're not, if you don't try, you'll never know. So that's something else that we've learned along the way too. Is like if it's like if you don't ask, you won't know if it's a yes or no. So we're all about asking these days.
Yeah,
Hey, will you come on this pod, or like, can you donate something to our 5K? And a lot most of the time is yes. So just ask the questions. That's what
exactly.
we learn. Yeah, for sure.
The worst is two letters, right? It's
Yeah,
what.
no.
Yeah, but and that's awesome. It actually reminded me you saying that, like ask. It reminded me of Matthew 7:7. Asking you shall receive, knocking,
Mm-hmm.
the door will be open unto you. I don't know the
Yeah, man.
specific thing, but dude, that's like, now you said it the best though, but it just reminded me of that. But Edwin, I was gonna say thank you so much, man. Seriously,
Yeah,
we're
man.
hitting the hour mark.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, dude. It's actually great, just even though it's just a scratch of the surface of getting to know you, man. You're a great dude, great energy. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope I didn't bore you too much. But before we sign off, please let the people know how they can support you, your community. How can they be a part of it? How can they sign up for the registration for the Above the Clouds 5K? The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate you having me on. It's weird being on this side of a podcast.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
so yeah, it's now I know how people feeling when we're interviewing them. But no, thanks for having me on for sure. If you're interested in joining us for a run or figuring out more about our Above the Clouds 5K or even our grant, finish the race grant in honor of Dr. Albert Lin, you can find all that on Instagram at Sparc. That's SPARC dot worldwide on Instagram. And I don't think I even said that. So Spark stands for Support, Propel, Achieve, Run Club, because that's what we're really about, supporting each other, and then after supporting you, just kind of pushing you forward to help you achieve whatever whatever goal that might be, mental, spiritual, physical. We're there for you. So if you want to come out and run with us, you can run, walk. Um, we don't care what you look like, how fast you are. Just come on out.
oh yeah, man, and awesome, everyone. Thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time
man.
again. It was awesome talking to you. And guys, as always, do the best you can for yourself and the people around you, because you know why. You deserve it. Have a great one, and see you in next week's episode.